Let me tell you something that will blow your mind. Picture this: you roll up to a massive castle in your fancy car, holding a golden ticket that you think is your pass to the VIP section of the most exclusive party on earth. You walk up to the security guards, chest puffed out, ready to be welcomed like royalty. Instead, you get treated like a guy who had won too many drinks and tried to start a fight with the bouncer at a nightclub. That is exactly what happened to Tom Parker Bowles. And trust me, the story of what went down at those castle gates is way bigger than just one guy getting turned away. It gives us a front row seat to who is really running the show in the British royal family, and the answer might surprise you. Now, if you are new here, you might want to stick around because this is the kind of royal drama that you just cannot make up. We are talking about a charity gala, the biggest one of the year, happening at Windsor Castle. The whole place is lit up like a Christmas tree, everybody is dressed to impress, and the royal family is putting on their best faces to show the world how united and generous they are. King Charles is there, looking a bit tired but still warm and friendly, doing his kingly duties. Prince William is working the room, shaking hands with rich donors, and basically running the whole show behind the scenes more than anyone else realizes. Everything is going picture perfect until a car pulls up to the main gate and out steps Tom Parker Bowles, the son of Queen Camilla from her first marriage. He is holding this fancy invitation with gold lettering and walking with the kind of swagger that only comes from thinking you have already won the battle before it even starts. So Tom Parker Bowles struts up to the security checkpoint and immediately starts playing the one card he thinks is going to get him through those gates. He tells the guards that he is Camilla's son, he insists that King Charles personally invited him, and he acts like the guards should just wave him through without asking any questions. But here is where things get tricky. The guards have a final guest list, the one that Prince William personally approved just hours earlier, and guess what? Tom Parker Bowles' name is not on it. Not a single line, not a typo, not some honest mistake. He is just not invited. The head of security tells him this calmly but firmly, and that is when Tom Parker Bowles starts to lose his cool. He starts yelling, waving that invitation around like it is a magic wand, demanding to know if these guards even understand who he is. He threatens them with all kinds of consequences, but the guards do not move an inch. They have been trained for exactly this kind of situation. And more importantly, they have already gotten direct orders from Prince William about what to do if Tom Parker Bowles ever showed up at a royal event. While all of this is going down at the gate, Prince William is inside the gala, mingling with guests when his phone buzzes. He steps aside to take the call, and the moment he hears what is happening, his whole mood changes. His jaw tightens, his eyes turn cold, and he tells security in no uncertain terms not to let Tom Parker Bowles in under any circumstances. He says he will handle it personally. Then he glances over at his father, King Charles, who is still chatting away with guests, completely clueless about the drama unfolding at the gates. William makes a decision right then and there. He is not going to let this slide. He is not going to let Camilla's family force their way into official recognition through a public event where the royal family would be too embarrassed to make a scene. So he walks out of the hall and heads straight for the gate, ready to deal with this mess himself. But to really understand why Prince William reacted the way he did, you have to rewind about a month earlier to a private meeting at Clarence House. Camilla sat down with William and made her pitch. She wanted Tom Parker Bowles to attend the upcoming charity gala as a family member. Her argument was that it would help solidify their position within the royal family, that Charles wanted harmony, that it was just one evening. William listened and then shut it down completely. He told her flat out that if Tom Parker Bowles appeared publicly at a major event, the public would interpret it as him having an official role, and that was never going to happen. He said the royal family is not a place for any private family to expand their influence. The conversation ended with Camilla leaving with a strange smile on her face, and William knew deep down that she would not accept the rejection. And he was right. Because despite that clear no, Tom Parker Bowles still showed up at Windsor Castle holding an invitation. Someone had secretly given him access after the proposal was rejected, and William was almost certain Camilla was behind it. She had calculated that at such a grand public event, William would not dare create a scandal by having her son removed. She thought he would be forced to stay silent to protect the royal family's image. That was her leverage, or at least that is what she believed. So when Prince William arrives at the castle gates, the atmosphere is already suffocating. Tom Parker Bowles is red-faced, sweating even though the night air is cool, pointing aggressively at the security commander and shouting about who his mother is. When he sees William, the panic in his eyes briefly shifts to resentment. He immediately goes on the attack, demanding to know how William dares to have him blocked, insisting that Charles invited him, accusing William of deliberately humiliating his family. And William does not flinch. He looks Tom Parker Bowles straight in the eyes and says his name is not on the list. He was not invited, and the royal family is not a place for him and his family to force their way in. This is where Tom Parker Bowles completely loses control. His face twists with rage and humiliation, and he takes a step forward and says something that changes the entire temperature of the confrontation. He says Diana was just a replacement, that she was never worthy of the position, that Camilla's family is the one that truly belongs, that Camilla is the one Charles truly loved, and that William is just taking revenge for his biological mother out of jealousy. Now, pause on that for a second. Whatever you think about any of the people involved, saying that to Prince William at Windsor Castle, in front of palace staff and security about his mother who died when he was just 15 years old, is not a simple mistake. That is a full on explosion. And you can see in William's reaction that it lands exactly where it was aimed. His eyes flash with unconcealed fury. The memories of what Princess Diana endured because of Camilla, the years of pain that shaped his entire childhood, all of it surfaces in that moment. But he does not explode. He takes a deep breath, controls his emotions, and his voice turns ice cold. He says Diana is his mother, an inseparable part of the royal family's history, and that Camilla's family is not going to use the monarchy as a tool for personal influence. Then he gives the final order. Remove Tom Parker Bowles from the castle grounds immediately. The security team acts instantly. Two guards move to either side of Tom Parker Bowles, grip his arms, and escort him away while he struggles and screams that William will regret this. His shouts grow fainter as he is removed from the gates, and William stands there watching until he is gone. The entire confrontation lasted less than 5 minutes, but dozens of palace staff witnessed it. The news spread through the castle like wildfire. Prince William personally threw out Camilla's son. That story moved from mouth to mouth in moments. William turns and walks back toward the gala hall. Before stepping inside, he pauses and takes a deep breath. He knows the incident cannot stay secret forever. The media will dig eventually, but he stopped the dangerous precedent. Tom Parker Bowles did not set foot inside the gala. He was not photographed alongside royal family members. The public did not wake up to headlines about Camilla's son being officially recognized. That door did not open. But the story does not end there because late that same night, while the lights at Windsor Castle were still flickering and the gala was wrapping up, a silent counterattack began. An anonymous post suddenly appeared online and started spreading at lightning speed. The content was venomous and carefully calculated. It painted Prince William as acting emotionally, taking personal revenge for his biological mother by throwing Queen Consort Camilla's son out of the charity gala. The post was shared thousands of times. Negative comments started pouring in. A public relations storm was forming before William had even had time to sit down. He was in a temporary office at the castle when his assistant reported what was happening. He read the post, his eyes darkening, and he knew immediately this was not natural public opinion. This was a deliberate attempt to reverse the narrative, to paint him as the aggressor rather than the person who was provoked. And he was right. The truth behind the post got uncovered fast. Tom Parker Bowles, after being humiliated and removed from Windsor Castle, had refused to stay silent. In his rage, he contacted one of Camilla's trusted guards, told a version of the story that benefited himself, and paid a significant sum for a journalist to write a defamatory article emphasizing William taking revenge for Diana and refusing to allow his mother's family any place. Tom Parker Bowles was still shaking with anger when he made that call, his voice full of resentment, telling them to write it so everyone could see William's true face, saying his family could not be trampled like this. The post was released from an anonymous account, but William did not wait. He ordered the royal cybersecurity team and communications advisors to trace it that very night. Within 2 hours, the results came back and they shocked but did not surprise him. The posting address originated from a computer in Camilla's private office at Clarence House. Let that sink in. The anonymous smear post attacking Prince William came from the Queen Consort's own office. Even if Camilla did not write it herself, her office had become the source of the attack. Her son used her resources, her guard, her office to launch a media counter-strike designed to make William look like the villain. The next morning, pressure on the royal office surged. They were forced to issue a vague response, but the silence only fueled more rumors. William sensed the danger clearly. If he did not expose the truth in time, his image would suffer serious damage. So he convened a small group, two trusted advisors and a technology expert, and they worked silently through the night compiling all the evidence. Email exchanges between Tom Parker Bowles and the journalist, call records, transfer records, and most importantly, confirmation of the posting address from Camilla's office. The deeper they dug, the clearer the full picture became. This was not an impulsive act by Tom Parker Bowles. It was part of a longer-term effort by Camilla to protect her shaky position. She feared William was gaining too much power, so she played dirty, secretly providing the invitation while preparing a media counter-strike in case the plan failed. It was a two-layered strategy. Get Tom Parker Bowles into the gala if possible, and if that failed, use the removal to generate sympathy and paint William as cruel and vengeful. But Camilla did not know that William already had the evidence. While she was still hoping the anonymous post would create enough pressure to force him to back down, the heir had everything documented and ready. That same night, after Windsor Castle had fallen quiet, William did not rest. He read the investigation report, stared at the screen, and said there was no longer any doubt. Everything originated from Camilla's office. Early the next morning, he acted swiftly. William met privately with the guard Tom Parker Bowles had hired. In a private room with a lawyer present as witness, the man confessed everything under the weight of irrefutable evidence. He said Tom Parker Bowles contacted him at midnight, furious, demanding he write a defamatory article about Prince William as revenge. He said he only followed the request. With that testimony in hand, William knew the time had come. He requested an emergency meeting with King Charles and Camilla that same evening at Buckingham Palace. No advance notice, no time for anyone to prepare their story. The atmosphere in that meeting room was oppressively heavy. Charles sat at the head of the table, exhaustion clear on his face. Camilla sat beside him, trying to maintain composure, but gripping the edge of her dress so tightly her knuckles were white. William entered and placed a thick folder of documents on the table. He began, his voice firm, laying out everything. Tom Parker Bowles hired Camilla's guard to post an anonymous article, slandering him right after being removed from the gala. Camilla turned pale and tried to deny it, her voice shaking, claiming she knew nothing about the post. William cut her off. His tone was icy. He said she knew perfectly well. She secretly gave Tom Parker Bowles the invitation after he had rejected the proposal. She thought he would stay silent to avoid a scandal. When the plan failed, she let her son counterattack through the media. This was not a personal mistake, it was deliberate. He opened each page of the documents, presenting the evidence clearly. Tom Parker Bowles' midnight call, the money transfer, the guard's testimony. Each piece landed like a blade. Camilla tried to defend herself, her voice growing weaker, saying she only wanted the family to be recognized. But Charles sat in silence for a long time, deep disappointment evident on his face. He looked at Camilla, then at his son, and finally spoke. His voice was heavy. He said he had hoped this was merely a family conflict, but this was clearly a power struggle. Her son deliberately tried to force his way into a royal event, then slandered the heir. He could not tolerate it. William continued, and his words carried enormous weight. He said he was not doing this out of personal hatred. He was doing it for the future of the royal family. If they allowed private calculations to continue, they would lose all public trust. Diana endured too much, and he would not let history repeat itself. The room was thick with emotion. Camilla lowered her head, tears rolling down her cheeks, not from remorse, but because she knew she had lost. Charles sighed heavily and announced the final decision. From now on, Camilla's family would no longer be allowed to participate in important internal events. Tom Parker Bowles was completely banned from all royal activities. The consequences came swiftly and irreversibly. What happened in the weeks after tells you everything about where the real power sits now. Camilla retained the title of Queen Consort, but she became increasingly isolated. Ceremonies, official tour, even private meetings with Charles grew rarer. Her family was systematically pushed to the margins. Meanwhile, William's image appeared more strongly at major events. He presided over charitable activities, made strategic decisions, and the public began to regard him as the real pillar of the monarchy. The contrast could not be sharper. On one side, a queen consort who overplayed her hand and watched her influence evaporate. On the other, an heir who proved he is willing to act decisively to protect the institution, even when it means humiliating his stepmother's son in front of palace staff and the media. The thing that makes this whole situation so revealing is not just the confrontation at the gate. It is the pattern. Camilla spent years fighting to secure her position, and the moment she tried to extend that position to her children from her first marriage, she ran straight into a wall named William. She miscalculated badly. She assumed the fear of public scandal would protect her. She assumed William would prioritize the royal family's image over enforcing boundaries. But William understood something she did not. Letting Tom Parker Bowles walk through those gates would have created a far bigger long-term problem than the short-term embarrassment of removing him. It would have established that Camilla's family had official standing, that they could appear at major royal events as recognized members, that the line between the Windsor family and the Parker Bowles family was blurring. William saw that precedent coming and he killed it at the door. And then there is the smear campaign. The fact that the anonymous post traced back to Camilla's office is the kind of detail that changes everything. It transforms the story from a messy family dispute into something more calculated. Someone in that office operating with access and resources connected to the Queen Consort tried to weaponize public opinion against the future king. That is not a misunderstanding. That is not a son acting impulsively. That is an operation. And when it failed, it did not just fail. It backfired completely. The investigation exposed the whole thing and the consequences landed directly on Camilla and her family. What is striking is how alone Camilla ended up. Charles, who she presumably counted on for support, sided with William. The evidence was too clear, the pattern too obvious. The king looked at the documents, heard the testimony, and made his choice. His heir over his wife's son. The future of the monarchy over the ambitions of the Parker Bowles family. And in that moment, the power structure of the current royal family became visible to everyone paying attention. William is not just the heir waiting. He is already making the decisions that define who is in and who is out. The isolation that followed for Camilla is almost as telling as the confrontation itself. She was not stripped of her title. There was no dramatic public announcement, but the invitations stopped coming. The private meetings became less frequent. The distance between her and the operational center of the monarchy grew wider by the week. That is how real power shifts in an institution like this. It is not always a loud break. Sometimes it is just a series of closed doors and meetings you are no longer invited to. William, meanwhile, stepped into the space that opened up. He presided over more events, made more strategic decisions, and the public started seeing him as the one who is actually steering the ship while Charles manages his health and his reduced schedule. The image that emerged from this whole episode is of an heir who understands that protecting the monarchy sometimes requires making enemies within your own household. He did not enjoy it. The reports make clear he felt no joy, only exhaustion and the weight of responsibility, but he did it anyway. There is something almost poetic about the fact that Tom Parker Bowles invoked Diana's name in his rage, and that became the moment the confrontation turned irreversible. He thought he was landing a blow. Instead, he handed William the moral clarity to do what he was probably already inclined to do. Bringing up Diana, calling her replacement, diminishing her role. That did not weaken William's position. It strengthened it. It made the confrontation about something bigger than a guest list. It made it about legacy, about a mother who suffered, about a son who remembers everything. The staff who witnessed the whole thing reportedly whispered about it for days. The image of the heir to the throne standing at the gates of Windsor Castle, ice cold, watching his stepmother's son get escorted away, is not the kind of thing you forget if you work in that palace. It sends a message that goes far beyond one evening. It tells everyone in that ecosystem where the lines are drawn and who enforces them. So when you zoom out and look at the whole arc, a charity gala that was supposed to showcase unity and philanthropy became the stage for a power struggle that had been simmering for years. Camilla made her move. She pushed to get her son into the inner circle. William blocked it. Tom Parker Bowles showed up anyway, armed with an invitation he should not have had. William removed him physically. Tom Parker Bowles retaliated through the media. William traced it back to Camilla's office. Charles sided with William. Camilla's family got banned. Camilla herself got sidelined. And the monarchy moved forward with William more firmly in control than ever. That is not just family drama. That is an institutional shift playing out in real time. The king is still on the throne, but the heir is setting the boundaries. And the message to anyone watching inside the palace or outside, it is that William will enforce those boundaries, even if it means humiliating his stepmother's son in the middle of the biggest charity event of the year. He is not afraid of the awkward headlines, or the anonymous posts, or the whispered criticism. He is playing a longer game, and he just won a round that will shape the monarchy for years to come.